Now, you know you're dealing with a corrupted institution when they literally celebrate the guy that's denying you the Epstein client files.
An extraordinary scene outside of the New York FBI office in the last hour. Assistant Director in Charge, James Dene, who was forced to resign under pressure this week, left the building to cheers from hundreds of his colleagues and the sound of bagpipes. He was
How glorious, according to MSNBC, that covered up the larger fact that, this is the guy that is being accused of concealing the Epstein files and protecting a whole bunch of predators out there from hurting children in so many unspeakable, horrible ways. And so, of course, how do you rein in this larger corrupted organization that celebrates its villains and has a long track record of aiding and abetting and running these operations with human trafficking and child trafficking? Well, that's the job of Kash Patel. That was also recently seen with Mel Gibson that a lot of people now believe could be helping him out when it comes to just reining in these larger human traffickers inside of our political and entertainment system. Is that the truth here? Well, we're going to get into that in this specific video, as this short clip now is having the internet ablaze right now, specifically when it comes to all the speculations, all the questions, all the rumors, all the hearsay, as of course that's what we're left with. As so far, under Trump's reign, we still don't have the JFK files, the 9/11 files, the Seth Rich laptop. We don't have the RFK files. We don't have the MLK files. And, of course, we do not have the Epstein files. And this is leaving a lot of people on edge here. This is leaving a lot of people being a little anxious, a little nervous here, saying, it's very important for these guys to be called out here, because if they're not called out, if they're not held accountable, they're still very dangerous players in our current system that are deployed, that will be utilized, that will be going out of their way to deter and hurt anyone from holding them from any kind of forms of accountability. Now enter Kash Patel, a man that has promised to release the list day one, the man who has promised to look into all of this, as we are finding out some very interesting details about his tenure at the FBI, as there's a lot of rumors, but there's also a lot of shock moves that are allegedly infuriating some across the agency. We'll get into that in just a little bit, as one of the ideas that Kash Patel had was that the FBI agents should be trained by the UFC, which I think is smart. I think not enough law enforcement use mixed martial arts, don't know how to use it, don't understand the larger implications of it, and a lot of the times mess up routine situations that could have been prevented from escalating or getting completely out of hand with violence if it was for proper training. So I definitely would agree that proper training is needed here. But one of the other things that happened at last night's UFC pay-per-view event that I was watching was that we saw a clip of Kash Patel sitting with Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson is, of course, a Hollywood superstar that has accused Hollywood of serious crimes against children. And now the two are together, sitting there, fist bumping, with Kash Patel wearing the Punisher t-shirt with Death Row behind him, in what many people are saying, hey, there's a lot of interesting symbols here. As if you remember, Mel Gibson was also a very prominent player when it came to providing valuable intelligence on child trafficking for documentaries. He has been an outspoken critic of it. And of course, he played a major role with Sound of Freedom, which he was the executive producer on, along with Tony Robbins. Now, when you look at Sound of Freedom, this was another major movie blockbuster that wasn't supposed to be a blockbuster, that a lot of people in the movie industry were saying, man, no, it's bad. No, the corporate media had a very weird reaction to it, as if they were trying to protect a lot of the predators out there, as Hollywood is filled with a lot of them. And now we have Mel Gibson, a man who knows very valuable information on child traffickers, sitting to the man who has promised to expose child traffickers. Here's a clip of what Mel Gibson previously had to say a couple months ago regarding Sound of Freedom.
The most disturbing problems in our world today is human trafficking. and particularly the trafficking of children. Now, the first step in eradicating this crime is awareness. Go see Sound of Freedom.
It was a great film, by the way. Definitely recommend it, as the rabbit hole goes a little bit deeper than just criminal elements, as we know, and I think Mel Gibson knows, and I think we have an overabundance of evidence now that the intel agencies are also involved in human and child trafficking. This is when we see this routinely. So many circumstantial incidences, whether it's Larry Nasler, whether it's Prince Andrew, whether it's the Prime Minister of Edmund Barak, whether it's so many very bad players out there in our society. P. Diddy is also one of them that is accused of running similar operations to, of course, Jeffrey Epstein. But again, we know for a fact the FBI was intricately involved in this larger child trafficking extortion operation that now the general public's demand to it be released, to it be finally held accountable for those larger actions, is too strong, and it cannot end here. Will Mel Gibson be playing a role here? Well, before talking about that, we want to tell you about wearechange.shop. We got a great shop. We got a really awesome shop. This shop is supported by you, as of course I've launched it because I'm really into supplements. I love supplements. I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I heard Joe Rogan saying, you gotta supplement. And I started to get my blood test results. I started to look at my overall health. And I said, you know what? I could be better. My blood levels weren't perfect, especially with some markers. And I said, I'm going to fix them. I'm going to fix them with exercise, diet, proper sleep, but most importantly, also supplements. And they have helped me out tremendously. One of the best ones that has helped me out is ashwagandha. It is not for everyone. It is a really powerful tool, especially for males. It helps you boost your testosterone. If you're a pregnant woman, I don't recommend you take it. Optimal energy levels, it definitely elevates your mood. If you're dealing with a very stressful situation, it helps lower your cortisol levels. And again, some medical professionals say take this 3 months out of the year. Some other ones say, you'll be a little bit more cautious, take it 1 month out of the year. I take it when I need it, when I'm dealing with high stress events, when I need to, of course, grind, when I need to work. And ashwagandha truly has been a major game changer for me. It's been one of the things that has helped me. And I think it's one of the key things that has helped me with my own independent health journey, especially a couple years ago. So check out ashwagandha. Do your own homework. Do your own research before putting anything into your body. But talk to any kind of medical professional before doing that as well. But check it out. Really powerful, strong stuff here. wearechange.shop. Go check it out. Go support it. As, of course, this topic of discussion is going to take a lot of strong men doing the right thing when it comes to, of course, addressing the larger problems in our society. As I would argue that the bad people had it too good for too long. And for so long, ever since the 1990s that we know about. 1996 specifically. Victims coming to the FBI. And the FBI is like, okay, bye-bye. See you later, kids. Kicked them out the door. Didn't even connect the dots. Corporate media had the story, had the witnesses, had people that they said, you know what, trust us. You were a victim. We will share your story. Just share it. They were in tremendous danger. And then the corporate media took their stories, documented all of it, and then suppressed it. Absolute, just tyrannical evil. And if journalists were able to get politicians, were able to find out Bill Clinton was involved here, as according to Amy Robosh in her very famous kind of James O'Keefe leak video that he released. She came out and said, we had everything. We had everybody. Why didn't they release it? Why were they able to get it? You're telling me our intelligentsia, you're telling me our FBI, you're telling me these larger kind of government departments that spy and track and watch every little thing we do. You're saying, you're telling me that they weren't able to connect the dots on all these high-level politicians that were able to go off, ditch their Secret Service, fly on these airplanes, go to these private islands and do all these horrible things? They did. Now, we have to understand, it predominantly was because the FBI and other organizations were getting power from it. They had extortion. They had compromise. They had people in the palms of their hands saying, we control you now. You're going to jump. You're going to ask us how high. All right? You're going to be our little family-friendly show here. you're going to be our little pet here. We're going to do whatever we want to, and you're going to obey. Now, those people are still at large. Those people are still dangerous players, dangerous pawns that are being used by the FBI, and we're dealing with a very dangerous gambit. And that is what Kash Patel has to deal with, as we are finding out that he is also considering hiring his own private security and his own bodyguards that are not FBI agents. This is the kind of rumor, this is the kind of hearsay the Daily Mail reported on this, that this has been allegedly worrying some of the people here, that there's a mistrust here, that there's some loyalty tests, and there are extensive vetting procedures of agency staff. And of course, you're dealing with a criminal organization that aided and abetted child trafficking, and in many times just either looked to the other way or directly was a part of it. Yeah, you're dealing with criminal elements of law enforcement that clearly were never, ever held accountable. So Kash Patel is facing a lot of criticism, but let's look at some of his moves here, as we have Town Hall reporting that there was also treason arrests, specifically with the U.S. Department of Justice arresting U.S. active duty soldiers that were trying to leak private intelligence data and information about U.S. tech to the Chinese. We're also hearing that 3 federal prosecutors in Manhattan were put on leave, according to sources connected to Aaron Kaderkerski from ABC News. And so far, these were out of the 3, 2 of the prosecutors were involved with the prosecution of Eric Adams, another highly politicized case. Other prosecutors worked on the Ghislaine Maxwell case, the Sam Bankman-Fried case, the Michael Avenatti case, and a lot of these cases very politically charged, very politically motivated. And as I've said in previous videos, the SDNY, the FBI New York City office, is where conspiracies go to get officially covered up and denied release to the general public. Because if you look at this larger kind of field office, you look at what they were kind of doing here, they were working on the biggest, most high-profile cases. The Diddy case, the Sam Bankman-Fried case, the Ghislaine Maxwell case, the Epstein case. All of those cases had larger kind of conspiracies associated with them, but the general public never found out about these larger conspiracies. The disclosures never really revealed anything to the general public about the larger kind of foul play here that clearly involved more government agents. And seeing some of these people fired, I think, is a start, but I think there needs to be larger investigations here. And if I had any kind of advice to Kash, it would be, absolutely have your own bodyguards. The world is a very weird, dangerous place, as we got some crazy news regarding the Secret Service near the White House today. You don't know what to believe during these type of events and scenarios here, but to help out Kash here, and I think this is important to bring up here to the general public. There's a couple strings that you could pull here to try to get answers regarding this entire saga, regarding this story of the decade that many powerful people want you to not investigate, that want to go away. I think the financial ties are very easy to link Jeffrey Epstein to. And when you start looking at that, you start to look at individuals like Les Wexner that gave Jeffrey Epstein power of attorney. And that could explain why so much money was just going in and out of Jeffrey Epstein's account when he wasn't even following all the rules and regulations that everyone else has to do in the banking sector when it comes to disclosures, when it comes to when it comes to showing the bank, saying, hey, this is where my money came from. I literally was denied a bank account because of my political leanings. There's people that were debanked. There's people that had their accounts destroyed by JP Morgan and Chase because they expressed political opinion. The My Pillow guy literally had his bank account taken away because of political expressions that he had about his own viewpoints that he came to. Mr. Epstein, he was able to have special bank accounts that didn't need to report, that didn't need to disclose, that didn't need to follow regulations, as the big banks literally got a slap on the wrist from federal prosecutors before for violating all the rules and laws regarding Epstein. Where's the disclosures around that? Because Epstein was able to move millions of dollars around when he was already a registered offender. A lot of this just doesn't add up here. It doesn't make sense here, as now a lot of the pressure is on Pam Bondi. And I hope she does a good job. I'm praying for the protection of all of the individuals involved here. We're dealing with seedy, dangerous criminal elements within our own government. And when looking at this entire story, when seeing this saga, it probably is a lot more twisted, a lot more deeper down the rabbit hole, a lot more uglier than we even understand it to be. It's probably way worse, guys. Way worse than you could even possibly imagine. Now, best of luck. We demand answers. I think persistently calling for more transparency, calling for more accountability, saying, hey, this is an issue that we cannot forget about. The fight's important. Let's rein in this larger organization. Let's actually use it for good. And let's actually hold criminals and very bad people in our society accountable for the egregious actions that they have made against children. It's that simple. And if you agree with it, share this video. Get this message out there to the general public. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here. I am extremely skeptical, but with the way that things are unfolding, what will happen from here, we'll see. But are we going to get the list? Probably not. I'll talk about that in the future video. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/wearechange.